Let me show you how to use zoom and pan animations in your tutorial videos. These are probably the easiest ways to level up your tutorial videos, making them really look professional. Let's get into it. So I've got my sample project open. So let's go ahead and create some zoom and pan animations. The part of the video where we're going to want to do that is not the intro here, but it's more the screen recordings. Okay? You can add zooms and pans to videos as well, but what I'm showing you here is what I do for my tutorial videos. So what we want to do is we want to identify when we want to apply a zoom or a pan effect. So you're going to want to go through your video. Okay, so that looks like a good place to maybe zoom in on this corner here. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to come over here and click on animations, and we're going to grab the custom animation. Grab the custom one and drag it down onto your screen recording. Okay, so when you first add the animation to the screen recording, nothing is changed. Okay, so you can play right through that. Nothing's changed. What you want to do is you want to modify the properties before and after the arrow. So at the beginning of the arrow and at the end of the arrow. So let's first put the playhead at the beginning of the arrow. Okay. That is, we want the properties to start like this, okay? So in order to animate the zoom in effect, we place the playhead at the end of the arrow and then apply our changes. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. We can either use our mouse and the wheel to drag the corners and reposition the screen wherever you want, or up in the properties window with the screen selected, you can change the scale here, okay? You can change the scale, you can rotate it, you can change the position, all these different things. But I find it just as easy. If I know I want to zoom into a top corner, I'll just make the changes right here on the canvas. So I would simply just drag this to the point where I want it zoomed in. That looks like a good spot here. And then I'm going to come back out and fit that to the screen. So I've now changed the ending properties of this animation. So this zoom animation. So let's just see what this looks like now. I think that looks great. Now, one thing you're going to want to check is the easing in and out. So highlight the animation, right click it, and then click on animation easing or hover over it. And you can see that I've got auto selected here. If you don't have auto selected, say if you have none, which is linear, then it's going to look like this. The speed at which it goes from not zoomed in to zoomed in is linear, okay? Which I don't think looks as good. When you're zooming in, I want to make sure that the easing is applied, and I put it on auto, which is basically the same as exponential in and out. The bounce and the spring don't really apply here. You could use them, but I just find them a little too gimmicky for a professional tutorial video. So I always select auto, and then that gives me the ease in, ease out effect. Okay, so basically it starts slow, speeds up, and then slows down before the animation ends. And I think that looks great. Okay, now the other thing, I'm going to mention a tip here. If you're going to be doing a lot of these zooms and pans within your project, do yourself a favor and go up to and modify your settings. It'd be preferences in Windows if you're using Camtasia for Windows, but I'm using it on a Mac. I would go to settings here and then make sure to click timeline. And then under timeline, default animation duration, I have set to 1 second. And that's what I recommend. If you want a slower zoom, you can set it to 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds. If you want it to be faster, you can set it to 0.5. But I like 1 second. Regardless though, whatever you set that to here, you can always change it. So you can come down to the arrow here and you can click and you can drag it to make it take longer. Okay? So that takes longer. What you can also do is, as you click the end of it here and hold down the left mouse button, you can see the end time and you can see the duration. So right now the duration is set to 1:44, so that's more than a second. If I want to send it back to a second, I just drag it back and I can just watch the time change. Right there to 1 second. Okay, now it's exactly 1 second. Okay, so that's a zoom in effect. Now let's say we want to either zoom to another location or pan to another location. Panning means you're maintaining the same zoom. So right now our zoom level is, if I highlight this, we can see up here, my scale is set to 84.1%. I started at 50%, and we can see that if we just click the beginning of the arrow here. Notice how it says 50%. So over here at the end of the animation, it's at 84.1%. Again, you can type in any value you want in here. So there's nothing that says you can't zoom and pan. But and you would do it the same way. You would do it with these animations. So let's bring down another animation. Okay, let's first just play this through to see where we might want the animation to occur. Okay, see the cursor disappeared down below, so I want to pan down to the bottom right here. I want to follow the cursor, so let's put it right here. And then with the playhead, so whenever you add another animation, if you add it after an animation that's already there, the beginning of the animation arrow, the properties there are going to be the exact same as the ending properties of the previous arrow. Okay, so again, when you drop the arrow here, nothing is going to change. The beginning and the end are both set to what the end of this one was. Okay, so what you want to do is put your playhead at the ending of this animation arrow. And again, it's automatically set to 1 second because that's what my settings are set to. And now you're going to want to move this and move it to where you want the ending animation. So I'm just using my mouse wheel to zoom out, and I'm going to click and drag this like this. Now, another tip, if you don't want your screen to snap into place like that, you may have to go up to View and then disable the Enable Timeline Snapping. So we're working in the canvas, so you'd want to disable the canvas snapping up here, okay? So if we disable that, now we can click and we can drag this wherever we want. We're not restricted, okay? But I'm actually going to do this with canvas snapping on, okay? Because I want to make sure it snaps right to the edge. And another thing you can do is you can hold down Shift while you're moving this, and it'll force it to either move only side to side or only up and down. So like this, if you hold down Shift and click and drag up and down, it'll only move up and down with no sideways motion. So that's just another trick. So let's go ahead and put this to where we want to zoom into. And I think that probably looks good. Now let's go back and fit that to the screen again and see what this looks like. Let's look at both of our animations. Okay, so that was just a pan. Now if we wanted to pan down and zoom, we can do that too. So actually let's just add a third one. We'll bring another animation down, and now this time let's kind of go up here, and let's say we want to zoom out a little bit like that and see what that looks like. So in that case, that was a pan with a zoom, because the scale properties went from 84.1% to 77.8. So you can combine zooms and pans. Now, one more tip I wanted to show you: if you want to get back to the beginning where your properties were at the very beginning. So let's click on the beginning of the first animation. And in this case, I know we were already at full screen, but let's say the beginning animation, let's say I wanted to crop out this top menu bar, the Mac menu bar. Let's say, so I'll turn on crop here. No, not crop. I'll stretch this like this. I'm going to have to turn off the canvas snapping in order to do this. So we'll click here and we'll drag it up to eliminate that. Okay, now I will turn the canvas snapping back on. Okay, so let's say that was our beginning point. Okay, and we want to zoom back to that point. Well, we could just drag another custom animation down, and then we can come over here and we can reset that down to 50%, and we can zero out the X and the Y. Well, that doesn't put us exactly where we were, because we can see this menu bar again. Okay, so that does zoom out, but if you want an easy way to get back to the exact same place you were over here, what you would do instead is you'd come over here to the beginning. Now, the beginning of the first animation, so that the playhead is at the properties that we want to start with or end with, right? And we're going to right-click the clip, and we want to click on Copy Properties. So you can't do this with just Control-C or Command-C to copy. You want to click Copy Properties, okay? Now come back over here to the ending animation. So again, here we have the menu bar showing up here. And now you're going to right-click to the right of the arrow and click Paste Properties, and watch what happens. The menu bar is gone. We were able to easily copy and paste the properties from the beginning over here to the end over here. So now when we zoom back out, you don't see the menu bar. Now there's one final thing I want to show you. Let me just delete all of these. Okay, let's say we have zoomed in here. Now let's say there's a point in your tutorial video where there's a lot of talking going on and no real movement on screen. What do? Sometimes you want to be able to keep your audience engaged. So one trick that I do is I use an animation and I call it a slow zoom. But there's one thing you need to know about this. Let's go ahead and bring down an animation. And to make it a slow zoom, you're going to stretch this out here, this arrow, to make it occur over a long period of time. Okay, and let's have it slow zoom back out to the beginning. So let's go to, again, let's go to what our properties were here. We're going to right click, copy the properties. We're going to put our playhead at the end of this animation, right click, paste properties. Okay, now that's a slow zoom. Now you might think that looks okay, but in my experience, more often than not, I'll have the zoom actually occur even slower than that. And when it does occur slower than that, that's when I do not want to use easing. I think it looks better if you just have a linear zoom. So what you would do is you're going to right-click the animation arrow, go down to Animation Easing, and click on None. Then it is a slow zoom. Okay, slow zoom in or out, just linear, no easing, and I think that looks much better if you just need to have something happening on your screen before you get back to the actual tutorial within your video. If there's anything else you'd like to know how to do in Camtasia, let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Also, I live stream Camtasia tutorials every week. I do live how-to tutorials, I show you how I make my videos, and I answer your questions live. So if you're looking to improve your videos, join me in my next live stream. I'm Rob, and I'll see you in the next video, or in a live stream. I'll see you soon.